Hi, Daphne.
Hello, mother.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Okay, so Mandy, who I live with, she bought this gum and we're chewing this gum. So sorry. It's under my tongue, but mom is laughing because she's chewing it. So that's what's going on right now, which she'll probably take out her cute little laugh. But it's cute and so it shouldn't go.
I'm trying to get the gum under my tongue because otherwise I'll be like, and now you hear me out. It sounds like I have my retainers in.
Put it under your tongue. Don't put it behind your teeth.
I was putting it under my tongue, but
When you said that you were had it behind your teeth.
I have.
My voice different right now than usual?
No, but watch. Look, I'm going to pause this. And we're back.
Okay, yes. Mom has bones under her teeth, under her tongue. And so she can't put the gum there. Otherwise, it's crazy. And she's going to have her whole jaw removed. It's a whole thing we just had the conversation about.
Well, if I ever have to have dentures, they'll have to take those bones out, is what I've been told. But I take really good care of my teeth. So hopefully I won't ever have to have dentures.
And she doesn't smoke or do anything crazy.
I don't.
So.
My body is
but
a
this
temple.
gum is great.
Except for all the donuts I eat.
Right? Literally so many donuts.
But that's it.
Literally, though. But that's it. It's just donuts. Her diet is literally only donuts.
And grapes. And cottage cheese.
Yeah, sometimes. Mostly just donuts. Anyway.
Weird that I'm tired all the time.
Right? She doesn't feed her body good shit. Just donuts.
Just donuts.
She has a cop diet. Donuts and coffee.
Basically.
And she's not a cop. Okay, what was I going to say? Oh, it's like neuro something gum. It has like adaptogens and green tea, and it's a focused kind of gum. I don't know. Mandy got it on TikTok. This one's like spearmint flavored, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some sort of mint.
Some sort of mint. But she said they just came out with a cinnamon one.
I
I'm
love
going to get that
cinnamon gum.
one.
Cool.
Yeah. And I like this gum a lot. Anyway, they don't sponsor us, so we're just going to move on.
Bye.
What you got? What's your disturbing fact?
Okay, my disturbing fact, I'm going to circle back to the last episode where we talked about Tommy Lynn Sells and how I was going to post his...
So is your disturbing fact from here on out going to be updates about cases you've done in the past?
No, because it's just a short snippet. It's a housekeeping, if you will, or whatever you call it.
So it's not a disturbing fact. It's a housekeeping.
But I have a disturbing fact after this.
Okay.
So just let me get it out, woman.
Okay.
Jeez. So I said that I was going to post the thing about his DOT records. And so I went to look for that. And when I went to his Texas death row inmate records, and it has his entire incarceration history, it said fucking Wyoming for that Fabian.
She feels very gaslit.
Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? So I was like, am I wrong? Because I swear to God, it was in West Virginia. But Wikipedia said Wyoming. And then not that Wikipedia is reliable, and I probably should go and put on there, no, you're stupid, because you can put addendums on Wikipedia.
Yeah, you can edit it.
But anyway, so his Department of Justice thing for Texas for the execution death row inmate said that he was also incarcerated in Wyoming for those years. So I was like, God, am I fucking wrong? Like, what the fuck? So I went and I looked at 2 different interviews with Fabian Witherspoon, and it was indeed in fucking West Virginia. So it's very frightening that the Department of Justice in Texas also has the wrong information on their website. I'm sure nobody really fucking cares because he got executed in 2014. But if you're trying to look up the facts, I do care.
Right, to see if he was actually in prison or not, because he was in Texas shortly after.
Yeah.
And more people online are like, it was Tommy Lynn Sells. It was Tommy Lynn Sells who killed Darlie Routier's kids.
Yeah. But he was indeed, it was in Charlotte, West Virginia, that Fabian Witherspoon was residing in when this happened. And that is direct quote from her in an interview that she said that she was in West Virginia. So I can't post anything about where he actually was, when he actually was, because it's all wrong.
When he actually was?
When he was, where he was, who he was, because it's all wrong.
We never did meet him anyway, so.
No, and I feel fine about that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So anyway, I just want to say how I said I was going to do that. I'm not going to do that because I can't. So, okay, so now on to my disturbing fact. And this also was from the last episode, but it's not a cleanup or referring to, it's just a point that we were talking about murders never getting solved. So, as of recent data, nearly 50% of murders in the United States go unsolved with the national
50%?
50%.
That's a disturbingly high number.
Yes. With the national clearance rate hovering around 50 to 54% in recent years. And this represents a significant decline from the 1960s, when roughly 90% of homicide cases were cleared. And in some cities, the rate of unsolved murders is even higher now to date, right? right?
Okay, but I'm wondering if in the 60s when it was 90%, if they had the right person all the time.
They didn't.
Right.
It was
it's
that
not
whole tunnel
really-
vision thing.
It's not really solved. It's just somebody.
They closed the case.
Yes, the case is closed. It doesn't mean it's solved.
Right, exactly. So detectives, their clearance rate, their quote unquote solved rate was 90% because it was that whole tunnel vision thing of like, this is the person, this is what it is. We have nothing to dispute it because we don't have the evidence or technology. So we're going to say it's this guy and it's this guy and that's what it is. That's
a problem.
Yes, a problem. The declining clearance rates resulting in an arrest have dropped roughly from 90% in 1965 to around 50 to 54% as of 2020. And regional variations, of course, some cities have seen murder clearance rates dip into the mid to low 30% range.
Okay.
And contributing factors to low clearance rates include increased use of firearms, lack of resources, and a decline in public trust of the police. So
it's confusing though, because like nowadays there's so much surveillance everywhere and like there's, people's carbon footprint.
Yeah, but you have to prove
and
it.
People's electronic
and the
footprint.
Whole proving it beyond a reasonable doubt thing.
Well, and that's like the guy in Idaho, the Idaho 4 murders, that crazy motherfucker that was in school. I'm Brian Koberger. I'm sorry, I'm totally blanking on his name.
That's okay. It doesn't matter.
I know the victims' names. Fortunately, I know the victims' names because everything I've ever watched about it has been a victim spotlight, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, they pinged his phone and the license plate from the car.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy with the increased surveillance that the numbers are lower.
It is. But that's because you also have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah, but they don't always do that. So
they don't. So the definition of cleared, a case can be considered cleared by an arrest or exceptional means such as the suspect dies or the DA declines to prosecute despite having a suspect, which means a case is cleared does not always result in a conviction.
So justice isn't always served.
Justice is almost never served, it sounds like. And then adding to that is based on FBI data, over 40% of homicide victims are killed by someone they know, a family or an acquaintance. The relationship in unknown murder cases, like people that don't know the person that they've killed, is about 50%. And for female victims,
I thought that number would be lower because most of the time, isn't it like 80-something% of the time somebody who kills you knows you?
Well, I'm getting there.
It's less opportunistic than...
I'm getting there.
Okay, the number that you just said contradicts that. So
right.
That's why I said
40% of people are killed by someone they know, but that's just an overall statistic based on men and women. But for female victims, the percentage rate is significantly higher, with roughly 76 to 90% killed by someone they know. And often it's an intimate partner. So that's what brings the number comes down, because more cases of men being killed and children being killed and in those circumstances are people that they don't know. So that's why that number is lower. But if you specify it by female victims, then the number goes up.
Gotcha.
Yep. So that's scary. It says in 2019, approximately 28.3% of victims were killed by a non-acquaintance/friends, and 13% were killed by a family member. Roughly 10% of murders were committed by strangers. Unknown relationships in nearly half of the cases were 48.9%.
I'm just thinking about it in perspective to everything we've done. That like the Lawson family murders was the dad killing the whole family, right?
That's the 13%.
Yeah. And the Tara, the one whose husband killed her that you covered, or the one that happened in New York, the Preppy murders, that she was killed by someone she knew, not a family member, but somebody that she knew. And like, then there's the randoms, right? Where like that Daphne girl killed that random person. And the Christmas murders you covered, they killed someone random.
The pizza murders that you did.
Yep. Killed someone random. I'm just thinking about it in terms of the cases we've done. And like the random versus the familial versus the someone they knew, someone they dated. Ted Bundy, all of his victims, for the most part, I think all of them were random, actually.
All of them were random, yeah.
Jeffrey Dahmer,
random.
All of them were random.
Yep.
Samuel Little,
random.
So I'm just thinking about it in terms of, like that.
What we've done.
Yeah.
But in those cases, most of the ones that we know who killed was a woman. I mean, if the woman was a victim, then we know who killed them.
Right.
So whether it was an intimate partner or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were killed by someone they knew.
Mm-hmm.
Sid and Nancy.
Yeah. She killed herself, but any hoodles.
You think?
Yes, I do think.
I think she was killed.
I don't.
Well, I think she was both. I think it was a literal murder-suicide on herself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, well, that's
All
it.
right, moving on.
Yes, moving on.
Thank you for the murder, because this episode we're not talking about murder at all. This is a Lindsay case request. Our dear sweet Lindsay requested reincarnation.
Okay, well, I'm glad I could have murder.
Me too.
Are any of your reincarnation cases, have they been murdered?
Kind of.
Okay, well, then it is murder, so there you go.
So she wanted it because of the Watsika Wonder that they were talking about. Like, was it reincarnation when she was being possessed?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was going on there, you know? So we were having a conversation about it. She was like, you should do something about this. But I'd love to hear about it. So anyway, here we are. I think it's super fascinating. So there's hundreds of stories you can look up online.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I just put a couple of them that are interesting to me. It's probably going to be a longer one here. So if you want more disturbing ones, skip to the end, because we start pretty light and then work our way up.
Okay, can I also interject here really quickly that we got a cloud lifter and we got...
So hopefully we sound better as I'm all relaxed and laid back. Okay,
right.
So
And we got...
I don't want to kick Peaches, though. Peaches is our special guest today, but she's chilling.
We got pop filters that are specifically designed for our microphones. So hopefully we'll be picking up a lot less background noise.
Yes.
And there'll be a lot less like interference kind of noise. Because I guess our microphones, the way their sensitivity is, and without having the cloud lifter, we have to have this one setting turned up so high in order for us to sound loud enough that it also picks up every other damn thing.
Right.
So hopefully we'll sound better.
I hope so as well. Okay, so the definition of reincarnation literally means to be made flesh again. It's the rebirth of a soul in a new body. So you're basically continuing your life force over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reincarnation is the philosophical or religious belief that non-material essence of a living being, either your soul or your consciousness, begins a new life in a different physical form or body, human, animal, or spiritual, after a biological death.
Okay.
It is a central concept in traditions like Hinduism and Buddhism, often driven by karma. And before we talk about, dive into the cases of reincarnation, I wanted to talk about Buddhist enlightenment because reincarnation kind of falls in the center of that.
Okay.
And this is something that's of interest to me. So I wanted to talk about it.
Well, it always makes
everyone.
it more interesting when it's something that you're interested in.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's often associated with Eastern religions. Like, you don't really hear about it in
Christianity.
Yeah, I was going to say Western culture. We do, but not, you're not going to hear about it in the Bible, I don't think. I don't know. Never been a Bibler. So don't think I've ever read the Bible. I know little bits and pieces of it, but I don't think I've ever heard of reincarnation. It's either you go to heaven or hell. There's no rebirth.
Resurrection, which is not necessarily, well, that's not reincarnation. That's just coming back as you were.
Coming back from the dead. That's a biological rebirth, not a spiritual rebirth.
Correct.
Which is what?
Reincarnation.
Yeah, to be made flesh again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for Buddhist enlightenment, the first understanding is about karma and intention. And this is from Buddha101.com. An early Buddhist teaching says, what we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, and our present thoughts build our life tomorrow. Our life is the creation of our mind. So karma means intended action and is a dynamic concept. It is not fate or predestination, but a consequence of what has gone before. So in other words, you are now in circumstances because of your thoughts and decisions. And this is an ongoing process. So new actions create new karma.
Mm-hmm.
And intention is a major part of karma. If you come home, accidentally trip over the dog and hurt the dog, this is not intended and has no effect. However, if you come home after a hectic day and you kick the dog, then negative karma is generated.
I don't like that example.
Well, it's a good example. If you accidentally trip over the dog, it was an accident.
I just don't want to hear anybody kicking their dog, though.
Yeah, but that's a pretty good example of getting bad karma.
Yeah, no shit.
Because what do we care the most about?
Our dogs.
So
yeah, I would love to be reincarnated as one of my dogs, or somebody who treats their dogs like I treat my dogs.
Yeah, have a good life like that.
Mm-hmm. Spoiled as shit.
Yeah, no kidding.
Not a care in the world.
So the Buddha saw this as an explanation of all the different circumstances that all living beings find themselves in. So karma is a close closely linked with dependent orientation, where it is the consequence of the law of cause and effect. Now, in the Bible, it says that we reap what we sow, and karma has the same exact impact here. Obviously, we're also subject to non-karmic forces, such as aging. Like, that's just a consequence of human life.
Which sucks.
There are circumstances which are natural and also affect our lives, but Buddha also says that we are subject to this karmic effect where ethical actions and thoughts will have a positive effect on the future and on our spiritual development. In the book Glimpse After Glimpse by Sogyal Rinpoche, the Buddha is quoted as saying, "Do not overlook negative actions merely because they are small. However, a small spark may also be, it can burn down a haystack as big as a mountain," which is pretty powerful.
It is pretty powerful.
And the Buddha also said, "Do not overlook tiny good actions thinking they are of no benefit. Even tiny drops of water in the end will fill a huge vessel," which I love.
Yeah.
So like not only is this a lesson in reincarnation, it's also a lesson in like live ethically, live a good life, live for positive reinforcement, not negative.
I'm taking in the information you're giving me like into my brain. You know what I mean? Like it's resonating in my core.
Right, which is why this is super interesting to me. I mean, I'm a pretty spiritual person. I think I'm getting more spiritual the older I get. So as I continue to dive into my spirituality, it's like, I think often about, I sit there and I'm like, these are things like I want to do for myself. We talk about selfishness often in spirituality. There's a difference between being selfish versus having self-love and boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I like pour a lot into my boundaries as of late that I think can appear selfish to others, but it's for my own self-protection and for like my own highest and best good.
Mm-hmm.
And this all just like really resonated with me. But I was thinking like in terms of the selfishness and versus the boundary thing, that like the actions that we do for others that are impactful and how that like, I don't know. I say often about like, I have a friend that I've been helping her out a lot and that I think I have like a lot of good karma coming back to me for helping her out a lot. So in the West, we often associate karma with fate, but it has this idea of the future, which is predetermined. But in Buddhism, karma is the reaping of past actions, but also offers the possibility of determining our own future with our actions and thoughts today. So this means that no future event is locked in, that what happens today and tomorrow will create the personal and global world of the future. So now that we've gotten past karma and how we act in our day-to-day, now we can talk about rebirth or reincarnation.
Okay.
In the process, because like this is like a threefold process, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Buddhism, reincarnation falls right in the center. We have karma/intention, reincarnation. You can't see me. I'm doing things with my hands. Reincarnation, and then we have nirvana. So in the process of becoming enlightened, the Buddha is said to have recognized all of his previous lives. At the same time, he also said that nothing from one life goes on to the next. So it's really just a paradox happening. But they also understand life as samsara, which means perpetual wandering, and describe the transition like a billiard ball hitting another billiard ball.
Okay.
That like the clashing action. While nothing physical transfers, the speed and direction of the second ball relate directly to the first. So the term that's often used is rebirth in Buddhism, not reincarnation, but reincarnation is the more common word. So therefore, that's what we're using in today's case.
So they don't believe that anything from your past lives you bring forward with you.
They believe that impact from the past life moves forward.
So
but
the karma.
Yes, it's the karma.
Yeah, it was kind of...
I'm going further.
No. I'm just the way that you said it sounded like I can't think of words.
Yeah, your circumstances from the past are brought forward, like the circumstance.
It seems contradictory.
No, it is. It's a paradox.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
It
you
is.
did say it's a paradox.
It's
Sorry.
a total and complete paradox. So reincarnation implies the transfer of an essence or soul, where rebirth follows the law of causalities or dependent orientation. Origination, brain, Daphne, what? Where this arises because of circumstances that happened before. So like if you were a really shitty person in a past life, you're going to be born into a new shitty life.
Fun.
So if you were a shitty person, you're going to have shit dealt upon you.
Right. You
Or
reap
if-
what you sow.
Exactly.
Karma comes back and bites you.
Right. So reincarnation is your soul literally is one body to the next.
Mm-hmm.
Rebirth is like, I guess, an essence of that piece of soul, but you're moving forward with those old karmic actions.
Mm-hmm.
So a primary aim of Buddhism is to break free of the wheel of samsara to reach a new level, which is called nirvana. So that's our heaven also. Nirvana is the most misunderstood term in Buddhism. It means heaven, heaven on earth, or this website said, or perhaps a famous rock band. Which I love Nirvana,
Me
so
too.
that's awesome.
They create some heaven on earth for me.
Yeah, right. Literally. Kind of.
R.I.P.
Yeah. The Buddha described nirvana as the ultimate goal. He reached that state during his enlightenment. At this point, he chose to teach others so that they might also experience this realization. So when he died 45 years later, he then passed through parinirvana, meaning he completed nirvana. Nirvana literally means extinguishing or unbinding. So this implication is that freedom from whatever binds you, from the burning passion of desire, jealousy, and ignorance. Once these are totally overcome, a state of bliss is achieved. There's no longer a need to cycle birth and death. All karmic debts are settled. The Buddha refused to be drawn on what occurred then, but implied that it was beyond the word and without boundaries. He saw it much different than our current state of existence, and it's not parallel to the process of an individual rebirth. So those are the three things of enlightenment.
Okay. 3 layers.
Yeah, the 3 fundamentals.
Yeah. Better word. Yay.
Well, that's what I have next in my notes.
so
Is now that we've
smart.
settled the Buddhist fundamentals, let's talk about some cases.
Okay, let's do
That's
it.
literally what I have in my notes. Sometimes I need a little guide for myself like that. Like,
Right.
okay, move along.
Move on, Daphne. Can I just tell a cute little story?
Yeah.
When you were little and you would do something bad, like intentionally bad, not accidentally bad, but like you knew you were doing something bad.
Like cutting up my curtains.
Yes, something like that. I would say, Daphne, karma's going to bite you. And then one day you were in the front door and the screen door like slammed on your foot or your finger. I would think it was your foot.
It was my toes.
Your toes, yes. Okay, you do remember. And you turned around and looked at me and you were crying, Karma just bit me. I said, yes, karma bites you.
Yep, karma bit me. That's for damn sure. So over 2,500 documented cases of kids reporting past life memories have been studied.
Like cutting up my curtains. Yeah, there was no malicious intent there.
I'm pretty sure you told me not to do it, and then I still did it. So
You
that's why I
Oh
love.
no, Daphne, please cut your curtains up.
I loved cutting things up.
Yeah, totally. She cut her hair.
The razor comb was not my fault.
No, that didn't. That was her fault.
Yeah,
Anyway.
one time when I was little, I cut up my hair with a razor comb because I was combing my hair with a razor comb.
Yep.
And why I had a razor comb, beyond me.
Claire Jo, Vienna's mom, gave it to you to play with the little wig dolls you were playing with. And then you proceeded to comb your own hair. And then we looked over at you and there was a fucking pile of hair on the ground. We're like, oh shit. So yeah, that's how that
Thank
happened.
you, Clara Jo.
Yep.
Okay, so Shanti Devi is one of the most studied cases of past life memories ever to be recorded. If you look,
Ashanti?
her name is Shanti
Oh.
Devi
Okay. Shanti Devi.
is her name.
Okay.
If you look up her case, like there's textbook upon textbook upon textbook studied about this girl.
Okay.
And of course, you know, it goes both ways of believers versus non-believers.
Of course.
So Shanti Devi was a young girl who was born in Delhi in India. Or is it Delhi?
Delhi.
That's what I thought, but my brain wants to say Delhi because I'm
there's an
looking at
H
the
in
word.
it.
Yeah, in India in 1926, claiming that she remembered her past life as another woman whose name was Lugdi Devi in a nearby city of Mathura. So what made this case disturbing for our sake and why I wanted to talk about it was because of her like very real, like the shit she remembered. That was like all true.
Mm-hmm.
Like that it actually all happened.
And she was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So around the age of 4, she began to tell her parents that they weren't her real family. She was like, you're not my people. Sorry. Like, she claimed that her real home was in Mathura, which is about 90 miles away. Like, she knew the town, even though she'd never been there.
And she's 4.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That her husband's name was Kedar Nath and that she had died shortly after giving birth to her son.
Oh.
Parents initially thought she was lying, you know, that she's just dreaming up this bullshit. And they're like, this is no.
You have such an imagination.
Right. But Shanti kept repeating the same story. Also, later in life, she refused to marry because she's like, no, I was already married. And that's their custom is you don't remarry. So she's like, I'm already married. Like, sorry. She provided very specific details about her past life, that she died in 1925 after childbirth. She had hidden money in a wall in her house, that she, followed certain religious rituals that were unique to Mathura. They weren't like customs everywhere. They were just customs there.
Mm-hmm.
That she'd been married to a cloth merchant. And eventually a teacher in the area where she was from in Delhi was like, let's look into this. Like, why is she pulling this stuff out of her ass? Like, why does she keep saying all this stuff?
Right. Can we find out whether or not any of this is true?
So he wrote to a man named Kedar Nath, and that lives in Mathura.
Her husband.
Yeah. The man did exist.
Mm-hmm.
He had a wife named Lugdi Devi, who died in 1925 after giving birth.
Wow.
In 1935, investigators arranged for Shanti to meet in Mathura. And when Kedar Nath arrived, she recognized him. She's like, you're my husband. She also was able to identify their relatives, like who was who. Had never met these people before, right? Mind you, like no idea who these people are, but she knows who they are.
That's weird.
Recognized locations in Mathura that she had never been to because, like I said, she knows the area, but she's never been there before in her life.
Mm-hmm.
Pointed out where money had been hidden in the house. The money had been moved, but they were like, yeah, that's where she hid it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So the case became so famous that a committee of investigators traveled with Shanti to Mathura. They tested her by blindfolding her during her travels and to be like she knew where she was going, asking her to identify locations, letting her lead them through the town and identifying correctly everything that was going on in the town.
Wow.
She reportedly navigated directly to Lugdi Devi's house. The investigators also concluded that many of her statements were accurate, though they were like, we don't know how she knows them.
Right.
Basically, it became so fucking famous and popular in India at the time that it even reached Gandhi.
Wow.
Who he was like, let's investigate this further.
Right.
So while they confirmed that many of her details matched reality, they stopped just short of declaring that her reincarnation, they never were actually able to prove reincarnation. But they were like, yeah, this is weird. She never recanted her story. She lived a quiet life. Again, like I said, she never married because
I don't know how you would prove reincarnation, though.
Exactly.
It's like all of the information that you're being given and that she's giving you that matches all of these details that there's no way she could have ever known about. Either you believe it or you don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's one of those things. How do you prove it?
I don't know.
Well,
our last story is pretty on the nose.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah, lived a quiet life, said she was this person, but then obviously, as she progressed in age past Lugdi's age, then, there's no memories.
Right, because Lugdi died.
Yeah, so there's nothing there.
So then she forms her own life, her own reality, or is she still living in
Well, she's still living in the, I was married, I can't ever remarry kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
She died in 1987, said that all her memories were real. So she died at 61, I think, then.
Wow, that's young.
Yeah. So critics obviously say that information was leaked to the family. She could have heard stories unknowingly, Investigators may have unintentionally guided her answers. But obviously, on the other side of it, people argue that it's too specific for a young child to fabricate.
No shit.
So I was reading an article about it on Substack, where I was gathering information,
Mm-hmm.
And this was a really interesting comment to me. So I'm going to read this comment. This case doesn't prove reincarnation. It proves demonic possession.
No.
A human soul does not go from one person or creature to another. When a body dies, it goes to judgment and from there to its eternal home, either heaven or hell. That many pieces of proof from those who were pronounced dead but came back with stories of both. This proved demonic possession because demons are former angels who have been kicked out of heaven and were cast to earth to now follow the leader whose only way to hurt or bother God, who expelled them from eternal peace, is to cause confusion, chaos, destroy their hearts, minds, morals. And people of God wants to have an eternal relationship with them, so they use any perversion or of truth to confuse and fool with those who have weak minds and no fortitude to keep them from choosing what God has for them and separating them from him eternally. Demons have been on earth since before Adam and Eve. They failed rebellion, and this happened several millennia ago. They have been protecting their craft of chaos and confusion so long, it's quite easy to fool most. The issue here is obvious. They were there to see and know everything about the Chinese girl. I don't really know what that means. Knew how to imitate and act like her perfectly because test is what they do. They imitate and pervert to fool. So when they find another girl that they could control and they simply pretended to be the Chinese girl inside of another girl, that isn't reincarnation, it's possession.
And this was on a thread about the girl from India?
About Shanti, yeah. So that's, I'm not sure why they brought up
China.
Yeah, like
because
a Chinese person in this.
Fully pay attention to the information that they were being given.
Right, but I think it's interesting because of the arguments. I brought it in because I wanted to have a conversation. I thought it was interesting because of the arguments about
demons in heaven and hell. And
about what the Watsika wonder, and that there was the argument about reincarnation there. But it's like, how the hell is she going to reincarnate after she's already lived like years of her life?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, because that girl didn't start doing it until later.
Right, and that she was possessed.
Mm-hmm.
So just interesting. Food for thought about the difference of it. I mean, I think if you are possessed, I think if you start to experience memories that aren't your own later in life and exhibiting them, like the Watsika Wonder case, the possession case.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think all possessions have to be mean and evil and nasty. Like you think about movies that are like about possession, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like in terms of the Watsika Wonder, like it doesn't sound like she was mean and evil, nasty and demonic, you know? She was just possessed.
She just was delivering information.
Exactly. Like she wasn't there to deliver malice and destroy the world and hurt people.
Or maybe she just wanted to continue her life a little bit, be with her family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't think necessarily that, you know, every case of possession is evil, mean, and nasty and of a demon. But I don't know. It was just interesting to me, given what we talked about in the Watsika Wonder and all the connections here.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to bring that comment forth.
Okay.
Because I think if you're born into someone else's life, then that's obviously reincarnation, right? But if you start exhibiting these things later in life, then yes, that's a case of possession.
Okay.
So this person clearly didn't know what they were talking about in the case of reincarnation, but it was an interesting point to bring.
Yes.
So this is one of my favorite cases of reincarnation that I've ever heard, about the story of the woman who claimed to be Anne Frank. Have you ever heard of this one?
Mm-hmm.
In 1954, a girl named Barbro Carlin was born in Sweden. From the time she was very young, she told her parents that she lived in Amsterdam, but her parents had like never taken her there. So they're like, okay, crazy. As she grew older, she began saying something even more shocking. She believed that she had once been Anne Frank, who was obviously, like, if you don't know who Anne Frank is, fucking open up a textbook, open up something about history. It's repeating itself right now. She was a Jewish girl who died in a concentration camp during World War II, who she has a diary. She journaled her whole life hiding in an attic until she was brought there. And the story is, you know, her journal of being scared and hiding in an attic because she was Jewish and being targeted for being Jewish. History. Her parents dismissed the idea until something strange happened. When she was about 10 years old, her family visited Amsterdam for the first time. They just were going on vacation, you know, they're in Europe, so they went there for vacation. She knew streets that she had never actually been to.
Mm-hmm.
She knew where to go to get to the Jewish quarter. And she also led her parents to the building that is the Anne Frank house, the museum. According to her parents, she was visibly emotional when she got there, reliving her past life, literally in there. Inside the museum, she pointed out details that she claimed had been changed since the war, certain decorations that had been removed. Some rooms looked different than how she remembered. She also described the feeling of hiding in the house during the war. As an adult, she wrote a book called And the Wolves Howled. In it, she claimed she had memories of Anne Frank's life that she carried since childhood. She said the memories faded as she grew older, which is something that's, reported. Like we talked about before, Shanti didn't have any memories past a certain point.
Right, because
Same
the
with
person's
Barbara.
passed, and so you won't have any memories once they've passed.
Yeah, past the age that they grew to be. You're not going to exhibit those memories anymore. You're not going to have any new revelations come through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not ever like they're living their lives on repeat either, though, it's not like they're doing the exact same things that person did.
Right.
They just no longer have those memories of what that person did because they died. So that's another case that I think is pretty interesting. This one I've never heard of. In the 1960s in Lebanon, a boy named Imad Alawar was born into a Druze family, which is a religious community that believes about reincarnation already. So it's not out of the ordinary to them to have these beliefs. A lot of children in this community, in this religious area of Lebanon, believe that they're claiming past lives, so people take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
He claimed that he used to live in a nearby village called Kribi and said that his name had been Mahmud. Not Muhammad, it's Mahmud. Even stranger, he described owning weapons and a rifle, living in a different house, being shot during an argument. So his parents initially tried to shut down the conversation because they were like, that's too far, talking about
being shot.
People are going to be like, that's going to freak people out beyond just the usual things we know about reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
The memories kept coming. He had 2 unusual birthmarks, one on his chest and one on his back. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. According to Imad, these were where he once had bullets enter and exit his body in a previous life. So the case eventually caught the attention of Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist from the University of Virginia who spent decades studying cases of reincarnation. When he interviewed Imad, he reportedly made dozens of statements about his former life. Researchers later traveled to the village that he said he was from when he was Mohammed. In that village, investigators found a man who had died from being shot during a dispute. Some details the boy described, such as the family members, the layout of the house, matched the guy's life. They matched Mohammed's life. And like the exact locations of where his birthmarks were, where he was shot at.
Wow.
Okay. And now we're on to my favorite case of reincarnation. And this is where we're going to end it after this case.
Okay.
Because this is 4 cases. I think that's good enough. Not good enough, but you know what I mean.
Enough information.
Enough information to make that people probably don't care about any of this.
Don't say that. I'm sure some people find it very fascinating.
I think it's super interesting. It's not our usual content.
Right.
Because it's not outwardly disturbing, if you will. It's not like ghosts being crazy.
But it's a request for an episode, which we honor our requests that have been asked of us.
And we honor Lindsay and Casey the most.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. My favorite, I think, most disturbing, comforting, you're going to understand why I said comforting, case of them all is the Pollock twins. Have you ever heard of this?
London?
England. Hexham, England. 2 girls lived with their parents. They were religious. They went to church. Joanna was 11. Jacqueline was 6. In May of 1957, they were walking to church with their friend, and a car suddenly mounted the sidewalk, killing all 3 of the kids. The driver was a woman who was experiencing some severe mental distress. She struck and killed all 3 of them, right? Their parents, who were John and Florence Pollock, they were devastated. Obviously, you just lost your 2 daughters.
Obviously.
You're going to be just distraught. But their father, had this moment of hi Piches. Their dad had this something's gonna happen. He just had this renewed sense of faith all of a sudden one day. The mom was like, no, nothing's gonna happen. But he told people that his daughters were gonna come back to him. About a year later, then Florence fell pregnant. I don't know why I said fell pregnant.
I don't either.
She became pregnant. She got knocked up.
Be really crude. She fell on a dick and she got pregnant.
She fell on John's dick and she got preggo. Doctors thought she only had 1 baby in her, though. But then in 1958, she gave birth to twin girls.
Surprise.
Jillian and Jennifer. That's just too close. Jillian and Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
Well, at least it wasn't Jillian and Lillian.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Or Jennifer and Hennifer.
Jennifer and Hennifer. Right away, they was just crazy. Jennifer was born with 2 birthmarks that caught the family's attention, the long scar on her forehead and a birthmark on her lip. This is what happened to Jacqueline when she was found, dead. Mm-hmm. She had a long mark on her forehead and a mark on her lip. Not her lip. I'm sorry. I'm stupid. Her hip. I'm having a dyslexic moment. I was it's not on her face. Her face is messed up, unfortunately. Her hip was fucked up when she got killed. The resemblance was crazy, obviously. The family's that's weird. When they were about 3 years old, they began saying things that were just crazy. They started talking about lives that they had never lived. Who were those lives? The girls. Why are you making faces? You're not responding. You're just making faces.
I'm listening, and Peaches is making a lot of noise. She's rubbing her face on the carpet and scratching and shaking and
being crazy.
Yeah.
She's being Peaches. What?
Sorry, no. So I'm listening, but I was also distracted by the dog.
Okay, so you're not listening. Cool.
I am. You said they started saying stuff when they were 3 years old and saying stuff about stuff they never experienced.
Recognized toys that belonged to Joanna and Jacqueline, places in the town that they had never been to before, details about their previous sisters' lives, about their late older sisters. Mm-hmm. For example, when the parents brought out the old toys, they said, these used to be ours. They knew the toys already. They even know whose toys were whose.
That's creepy.
Yeah. So later, the family moved away from Hexham. When they returned years later, the twins were pointing out shit they shouldn't have known, like where the sisters went to school. They knew that. And that's like something they should not have known. And the playground they used to play at. They were just like eerily familiar with the town, but they would have been too young to remember at that point when they lived there. This is really sad and bad. They developed a very big fear of vehicles.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. But I'm like, yeah, if you're reincarnated from someone who was killed
Hit by a car,
then yes, that makes complete and total sense. Although it is crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
You know?
So they would often, when a car would like drive past them, they would say, the car is coming to get us, which is really sad.
That is really sad. Sorry. I had a look. I'm like, oof.
Yeah. So their parents claimed that the twin seemed to remember how the sisters died. As they grew older, the strange memories obviously disappeared over time because they didn't live past the ages of 6 and 11. So by about the age 5 for them, they stopped talking about the girls' lives previously. The case, again, attracted the attention of Dr. Ian Stevenson.
Again,
Yep.
from West Virginia.
Yep. He documented the Pollock twins as one of the strongest reincarnation cases he'd ever studied. However, of course, we have skeptics
Oh, yeah.
that say that, the parents would have talked about the girls. That's how they knew all these things. But it was my understanding of it that the parents didn't really talk about it because it was just too devastating.
Well,
And it was like not that they were forgetting about them, but just trying to
move on. Well, and the toys and stuff. I mean, do you think that they would really pull out the toys and be like, this was Jacqueline's?
Right, this was mine.
This was, yeah. No, I mean, the parent pulling them out and giving them to him and being specific,
Right. Yeah, I just think that the birthmarks and all that and the fears and the memories of remembering whose toys who's just all too coincidental. Okay, that's all I have. There's thousands of reincarnation
That
cases.
was a quick wrap. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
But
I
what
told you that
about
was
the
end.
doctor going and investigating?
He said it's one of the strongest cases of reincarnation he studied.
Okay, that was it.
That was my note about it. That
Okay.
he studied them. It's one of the strongest cases he's ever studied.
Okay.
Or he had ever studied. I'm sure he's long gone at this point. That was in the 50s and 60s that he was working. And he just said he was working for decades before the case in Lebanon.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, one of the strongest cases he had ever studied. But yeah, interesting. A lot of food for thought in this episode.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, lots to think about. How to be enlightened.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. I feel like we all have the deja vu things of things that you've never done or things that you've never experienced or places you've never gone. And you kind of feel like, this seems familiar.
I work with a spiritual teacher and we've gone into my past lives and stuff, but it's not anything I remember. But stuff we've talked about resonates with me though, like crazy. Like my love of the ocean. My love of gardening, like just the past lives I've lived and how those have collided into my real life, I guess, if you will, collided into my present life.
But like, I don't think not any influence from your parents taking you to the beach all the time when you were little and your mom's love of gardening.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean I have to love those things
No,
just
it
because
doesn't.
of other things we did.
No.
Like I have my own love of them.
Yes. Yeah. And
So-
I'm not discrediting that. I'm just saying.
Not because of things I did for you. I gardened with you, bitch.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. That's all I've got.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I don't
I
really
hope
have-
Lynn likes it. Hope
like-
she enjoys it.
I don't really have anything for it to add because either you believe it or you don't. And I believe it.
I believe it too.
Yeah.
I don't think any of it's fabricated.
No.
I think it's all too specific to be fabricated.
Agreed.
And especially the case of Shanti. Who's
Yeah.
never been to this area. And like, I didn't include it. Of course I didn't include it. Why would I include it in my notes? Because I have to say it that I didn't include it. And I'm going to tell you it right now that like she ate a very strictly vegetarian diet and her parents were like, you need to not eat strictly vegetarian. Like, and she was like, no, this is how we eat. Like, this is how I'm going to eat. This is what we do. And they were like, no, this isn't what the fuck we do.
Right.
Like,
Have some chicken.
when have you ever done this? Yeah, exactly. Eat some chicken, eat some pork. Although I don't know if they eat pork in India. I know they don't eat cow.
No. That's why I said chicken.
But anyway,
That I know.
lamb. They eat lamb
Oof.
and goat. But yeah, they were like, you need to eat meat. And she was like, no, we eat vegetarian. They're like, no, we literally don't eat vegetarian. We don't know what you're talking about. When have we ever been vegetarians? She's
"Well,
like, well, I've
I
always
am."
been a vegetarian.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how you dispute that kind of stuff because that's not a typical 4-year-old just arguing with you.
Right.
That's different.
Very different.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
If you have any case requests that you would like us to do,
Send them our way.
send them our way. And also, if you want to participate in any kind of conversation on the Instagram, please feel free to do that.
We would love that
We
more
would
than anything.
Love some engagement.
Yeah, we would.
Yeah.
Genuinely, though, actually, I need to go respond to Casey right now. I was on the Instagram, like, going right before we started recording.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I read you that Capricorn stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't see that she responded to the Darley stuff. I need to look at it.
Right. Hopefully, she won't crush your soul.
This case sucked. It is the worst thing I have ever heard.
It's not what I expected.
Hated it. Everything about it was wrong. You suck at your job. Maybe you should just stop doing it.
Right. I'm going to stop listening to you.
And I'm going to go cry in French. Okay.
Okay.
That's all. Follow us on Instagram if you care. That's Disturbing Podcast. Send us a Gmail if you care. That's disturbingpodcast@gmail.com. Right? That's our email. Yeah, that's disturbingpodcast@gmail.com. Well, I just had a moment of we should be like Daphne at that's disturbingpodcast.com, but we don't.
Make it all about you. Why don't you?
I'm the one speaking, asshole.
That's a term of endearment around here.
It
Nobody
is
be
a term of
offended.
endearment. We always call each other assholes in the best, most lovingest way.
Yep, absolutely.
I was going to say, actually, asshole's not a dig around here.
No,
But
not at
like
all.
not even in the slightest.
Nope.
Like you've
Everybody
been calling
needs
me an asshole since I was 9 in the best way.
Yep. Everybody needs an asshole.
Yes, they do. How are you going to get all this shit out otherwise?
Exactly.
Okay, bye-bye.